What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and in this video I'm giving you guys my 2022 Cali Pro preview and top 10 predictions. Is it Charles Griffen's contest to lose, or can someone else sweep in and win this contest and qualify for the 2022 Mr. Olympia? So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go from 10th all the way up to 1st, and if you guys are wondering why you can't actually see my face in this video, it's basically because I'm traveling from one side of Australia and moving all the way to the other side and across sea as well. And still staying in Australia, I'm moving from Perth all the way to Tasmania, where I originally grew up. And yeah, so I'm basically on the road on this one, and don't have my green screen and don't have all that sort of stuff. So just bear with me for the next few days, and it'll be back to normal very, very soon. So you won't see my face for a little bit, fortunately for you guys. But let's get into this. So let's go from 10th all the way up to 1st. And in 10th place, I have Douglas Frushi. Now, this dude normally brings outrageous conditioning, and he was still conditioned last week at the New York Pro. I thought he was a little bit harder maybe in Boston, but he maybe had a little bit more size of in New York. He still had shredded glutes, just maybe his back wasn't quite as crisp as it was at the Boston Pro, but pretty impressive from Douglas Frushi, but I do have him in 10th in this contest. In 9th place, I have Christopher Robertson. Really love this dude's physique. It seems like he's training out of a Dragon's Lair, or maybe he's just down there while he was over to compete at the Cali Pro, but great physique, small waist, round muscle bellies. I think he just needs maybe a little bit more time to really place high in these shows, like really high, unless he pulls a slightly weaker lineup. But this lineup is pretty stacked, especially from 1 to 8. I mean, like, all these guys could place top 3 in a pro contest, and a lot of them are on sort of, I wouldn't say level, all of them, because some guys have competed in the Olympia, some guys have sort of not quite been there yet, but they're all on similar levels. And it's like, you know, whoever I'm predicting down in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, are probably going to be slightly offended, because they could see themselves, no doubt, as a potential even winner of this show. So let's move on to number 8, and we've got Andrea Muzi. I mean, the pre-contest photos, I'd almost predict him as the winner. I considered almost making him like a surprise pick as 2nd or 3rd or something like that, but I just couldn't do it because I've seen Andrea before and I've predicted him higher than he's actually placed in the past. Like, I've predicted him 4th and 5th and stuff like that, I believe, and he's placed like down in like 7th or stuff like that. So maybe the pre-contest pictures are sort of telling us something that's not actually there. I don't know, but he does look fantastic. I'm just basically saying this because he looks so good in these pre-contest photos. He looks like he could win, but we'll have to wait and see if it converts to the stage. In 7th, I have Theo Leguerrier. I love this dude's physique, and it's so hard to predict him here, but there's just guys that I'm like, you know, ahead of him, that are only just ahead of him, that placed really well last weekend at these other shows. And, you know, if they place ahead of him there, and then I've got other guys beating them, I sort of have to push Theo down a little bit. But if Theo can come in that little bit harder, because he's got a lot of muscle, super underrated, and if he comes in hard this weekend, he could potentially win the show. So that's how sort of close this top 8 or top 10 is. In 6th place, I have Maxx Charles, coming off a 2nd place last weekend. It seems harsh to put him down in 6th, but there are some good guys coming into this lineup, so that's why I have Maxx Charles there. As I always say, great from the front, okay from the side, but not as good from the back. If he can make that back a little bit more crisp at least, then I think he'll do much better at this show. And like I said, all these guys can, you know, come in and win this show. In 5th, I have Petar Klancir. He's competing this weekend, which everyone's super excited about because he got held out the last couple. He's got a lot of mass. I'm not exactly sure how tall he is, but I think he's pretty tall compared to most open pros. And, you know, if he comes in condition where he looks like he's in pretty good condition here, he could win this show for sure. He's definitely a dark horse, but I have him in 5th in my predictions. In 4th, I actually want to correct myself. Earlier, I said Maxx Charles was 2nd last weekend. He was actually 3rd. This man was a man who was 2nd in New York, and it's Andrea Presti. He'll be looking for an Olympia qualification here. He looked great last weekend. Honestly, I can't really fault him. There's a few little things where I'm like, you know, maybe a bit more tricep from the side if he can bring that up. Like in those side chest shots, I think it'd look a lot more impressive and just getting a little bit thicker overall. But he's continually improved. He's making those improvements, and he's really proving a lot of people wrong, I guess. You know, because after he showed up at the Olympia last year, some people were thinking maybe he shouldn't have got that pro win last year. You know, maybe it wasn't a deserving Olympia qualification. I mean, obviously he won it, so it was deserving, but you know, he was sort of on the lower end. But I can definitely see this guy climbing in his Olympia placings, and I think he'll probably get to the Olympia this year as well. In third place, I have Shaaban. Now, we haven't seen Mo since he last competed last year, I believe it was, and he's had some herniated or bulging discs, which I've actually struggled with a bit, so I know how serious that is. So that's sort of part of a reason why I can't put him any higher than third place, because we haven't seen him since that sort of injury, and I know how serious it can be. So obviously he's looking great by his pre-contest photos, but we'll have to see if it's good enough to beat all these great names in this lineup. In second place, I have Charles Griffen. Now, most people will be predicting this guy for the win, and rightly so. He looked fantastic at the Indy. He was shredded, a close second really to Blessing and Waterloo. But I do think there is one man that can, come into this lineup and shock everyone, really shock the bodybuilding world, and he would be the talk of California and the bodybuilding world if he can pull this off. And in first place, I have Tonio Burton. Now, Tonio Burton, if you don't know him already, he won the 212 Indy Pro last year in his pro debut. He went on to actually place top 10 in the Olympia in the 212s, and then he went on to the Legion in the Open and placed fourth, and that was only behind, I believe it was Regan Grimes, Sergio Oliva Jr., and Sean Clarita, who won that contest. And beat out Martin Fitzwater as well, who's, a great competitor and came in much improved there too. So I think Tonio Burton is one on the rise, and his pre-contest videos and photos have never really lied. He shows up just like he looks on stage, and I think he looks absolutely outrageous. So I think that Tonio Burton will come in and win this show. And if he doesn't, I think he's going to be right up there and surprise a lot of people, because he's looking so crazy right now that it's hard to see him not doing extremely well and challenging for the win in this contest. And like I said, no disrespect to Charles Griffen, because he looks absolutely fantastic as well. And honestly, most people are probably, going to be right in predicting him to win, but I think Tonio Burton can get it done, to be honest. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Give me your top 5, top 10 if you want to, top 3, or just your winner prediction. I want to hear how you guys have this playing out. I think most people will say Charles Griffen, but I'll put a poll up as well on the Desktop Bodybuilding YouTube. But that's it for this video. If you guys like and appreciate this content, please give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding, including all my coverage of the 2022 Cali Pro. Even though I'm doing it without my face on there or anything like that, I'm still going to be trying to bring it to you guys while on the road and traveling from Perth all the way to Hobart, Tasmania. Also, head to hdmuscle.com, enter the code DESKTOP, you save yourself 10% on their entire product range. Their stuff is next level. While you have some free time this weekend, go on there and check it out. Click the link in the description of this video and just see what their products are like. They're absolutely next level. They have awesome clothing on there as well. And if they do have any sales, you'll save yourself an additional 10% as well. So make sure you do check that out. So that's it for me. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.